The Coming of Shadows. When an old Earth sleeper ship, the USS Copernicus, finds its way to the station, Sheridan is excited to learn that it contains one survivor, a woman named Mariah Cirrus. She is revived from stasis, but the crew is wary considering her husband was found dead, apparently murdered in his stasis pod. Soon, a few mysterious deaths occur on the station that are similar to the condition the dead man was found in. The League of Non-Aligned Worlds, led by the Markup ambassador, petition Sheridan to do something about the woman. They claim that an ancient, dark warrior must have come aboard from the ship, as the deaths are similar to their stories of such a creature from the ancient past. Though Sheridan is skeptical, he promises to vigorously investigate. Garibaldi brings the captain information about a lurker named Amos, a former soldier who encountered something similar during the Earth-Minbari War while on a desolate moon. The Copernicus's logs indicate it passed by that moon, and Amos is convinced the monster is aboard the station. With his help, Garibaldi is able to track it down in Down Below. Sheridan personally leads the security team that destroys it. Afterward, Ivanova informs Sheridan that the ship's computers had altered its course for B5 after detecting signals from the station. Prior to that, however, but after passing the moon where Amos was stationed, the ship's course had been changed to take it to Zahardam. A man named Taro Isojai comes aboard the station to negotiate a further process for Mars to become self-sufficient, bringing it closer to independence, with a representative from the Mars government named Amanda Carter. However, Isojai is murdered by someone shouting, "Free Mars," right in front of commercial telepath Talia Winters. Sheridan orders Garibaldi to personally guard Talia while they try to learn the killer's identity. The assassin strikes again, killing a security guard, but leaving Talia alive. Talia manages to grab some DNA of him, however, and Garibaldi identifies him as Abel Horn, a notorious Free Mars terrorist. Sheridan recalls losing close friends to a bombing perpetuated. Strangely enough, Earth Force had a confirmed record of Horn dying the year before during the Mars Rebellion. The inconsistencies regarding Horn, which include a few telepathic memories taken by Talia of his death, remind Sheridan of a Black Ops program he stumbled across a few years earlier, Project Lazarus. He calls Garibaldi to his quarters to discuss it, explaining it was a cybernetic program designed to transform recently deceased persons into cyborgs. Sheridan believes Horn may be a result of that project. While Sheridan keeps digging, Talia requests to meet with Amanda Carter. Garibaldi escorts her to Carter's quarters but does not follow her inside. Sheridan links Garibaldi moments later, having found a way to track the energy source that is powering Horn, inside Carter's quarters. Sheridan, Garibaldi, Zach Allen and a few others burst in to find Horn holding Talia. In the subsequent standoff, Sheridan is unable to appeal to Horn to let them help him, and security is forced to shoot Horn. Immediately after he collapses, an energy surge begins to build, eventually detonating in a violent explosion that destroys all traces. In Medlab, Carter apologizes for luring Talia to her quarters. She explains that she was once a member of Free Mars, before it was a terrorist organization, and she and Horn were lovers. Garibaldi objects when Sheridan agrees to bury any evidence linking Carter with Horn. Talia confirms Horn was indeed a cyborg. Later, Sheridan meets with Garibaldi privately and explains about Bureau 13, a secret Black Ops rogue unit he has been researching for years. Sheridan warns that the agency could be a danger to the entire alliance, but he is determined to expose it. A few weeks later, the Psychop Alfred Bester turns up on the station, claiming that an underground railroad of rogue telepaths is operating through the station. Sheridan agrees to help shut it down. Ivanova informs Sheridan about Bester's previous trip to B5. While the search gets underway, Talia Winters is kidnapped. Dr. Franklin contacts Sheridan, telling him that he has in turn been contacted by the leader of the Underground Railroad. This leader has agreed to meet with Sheridan in Down Below alone. Sheridan decides to go to the meeting and is shocked to learn that Franklin himself is the leader, at least of that junction of the railroad. Franklin explains the railroad is secretly a network of doctors and sympathizers all over the Alliance, appalled at the conditions rogue telepaths have been subjected to. Talia Winters emerges while the doctor explains, safe and sound and sympathetic to the cause. Other members of the Underground relate their stories about brutal subjugation, experimentation, and even rape by the Psi Corps to members and rogues alike. Sheridan wants to help, but is unsure of how to keep Bester from exposing Franklin's involvement. Fortunately, the telepaths themselves are able to deal with this, implanting a series of false memories in Bester so that he believes all the rogues on the station were shot and killed. Franklin agrees that the railroad has to be shut down on B5, is confident others will pick up the work elsewhere. During this time, Sheridan is approached by Ambassador Delenn, who invites him out to dinner. He is surprised, but nervously accepts the invitation. The two enjoy a nice dinner at Fresh Airs. When Ambassador Mollari hosts a party celebrating the anniversary of his Ascension Day, Sheridan and the rest of the senior staff is invited. The party takes an ugly turn, however, when a gift given by Londo's third wife, Meriel, whom Londo had warned Sheridan to avoid, turns out to be booby-trapped. Meriel had purchased it via a former telepath named Matthew Stoner, who claims he found it and knew nothing of the trap. Sheridan is puzzled by Stoner, who turns out to be Talia's ex-husband, as he apparently lost his telepathy and left the Psi Corps. Londo survives, thanks to a blood transfusion. Stoner is discovered to be an empath, someone capable of controlling other people telepathically. Before he can be indicted for an attempted jailbreak, however, the Psi Corps orders him returned to Earth to their custody. In June 2259, Centauri Emperor Turhan announces that he wishes to come aboard Babylon 5. Despite a vehement protest by Gkar, Sheridan enthusiastically welcomes the Emperor to come aboard. The Emperor arrives and a grand formal reception is planned for him, one that will feature a speech he has prepared and then mingling with the other ambassadors and dignitaries. Before the reception, Sheridan speaks to the Emperor privately. He finds Turhan to be a somewhat broken figure, a very old man with a lifetime of regrets, though still a good man who wishes to make a difference as his life draws near its end. Unfortunately, just before he arrives at the reception, he collapses, his health failing him. He is rushed to MedLab, but his prognosis is that he only has a day at most to live. A few hours later, the station receives word that the Centauri had launched a full-scale assault against a Narn colony. Sheridan leads a security team and intercepts Gkar in Green Sector. The enraged Narn had been heading straight for Mollari's quarters. Sheridan manages to talk him down from his rage. Afterward, Garibaldi comes to him with vital information. An anonymous source let him know that the Centauri had received support from a strange, unknown race in attacking the colony. Sheridan decides to use the tip to play a bluff during an emergency Babylon 5 council meeting. He bluffs that Earth is planning on sending ships to the colony to check on the status of the roughly 250,000 Narns living there. Mollari believes him and agrees to get the Republic to release all the prisoners. Immediately afterward, Gkar informs the council that the Narn regime has just declared war against the Centauri Republic. Emperor Turhan dies in MedLab, his hope for peace dying with him. The Gathering Dark. Soon after the outbreak of the Narn-Centauri War, General Richard Franklin arrives on Babylon 5 with 25,000 Marines in need of billeting. General Franklin explains that he has been ordered out to Acta, the third planet of the Schlassen Triumvirate, to help suppress a rebellion. Due to Sheridan's prior experience with the fortress of Matak on Acta, Franklin orders him to help plan the invasion, Operation Sudden Death. The next few days are spent helping plan the invasion while the station groans under the presence of the 25,000 Marines. Sheridan also offers what support he can to both the Franklins aboard. The general is the father of Stephen, but their relationship is severely strained. The station itself also receives an upgrade to its defense grid at this time, gifts brought along with the general. After several days, the Marines deploy and the mission is ultimately successful. A few weeks later, General Haig contacts Sheridan quietly, informing him that he is planning on coming to the station for an informal visit soon. Before he arrives, Sheridan is captured by an unknown vessel, later known to belong to the Streeb, while on a patrol in a Starfury wing. He is experimented upon and forced to fight first a Drazi and then a Narn named Talon. After defeating Talon and disabling a device the Streeb were using to control the Narn, the two prisoners are able to escape their cell and board a life pod, even as the ship is attacked by the EAS Agamemnon and a Starfury squadron from Babylon 5. Sheridan is picked up and returned to the station. While aboard the Streeb ship, he also had a strange dream, seemingly sent to him by Ambassador Kosh, though the purpose and images of the dream are cryptic. After being treated for his injuries, Sheridan meets privately with General Haig. He stands by the loyalty of the officer aboard. Haig suggests the president might have been involved with Santiago's death, probably working with Psi Corps and other factions using military contacts. He encourages Sheridan to bring his staff into their conspiracy, telling him that their own faction will soon start acting and not just reacting. Sheridan does precisely that, telling Ivanova, Garibaldi, and Franklin about what he is a part of and asking for their help. All three agree to stand by him. The Narn-Centauri war soon begins to go badly for the Narns. Gkar appeals to Sheridan for help from the Earth Alliance, citing attacks by Centauri against Narn civilian targets. Sheridan agrees to appeal to Earth government to come in on the side of the regime, helping not militarily but by providing aid to civilians. His request is denied, as the Alliance has no intention of being drawn into the conflict. Denied that route, Sheridan goes to Delenn and asks for her help. Together they form a plan to smuggle leftover food and medical supplies to Narn civilians and smuggle other civilians out of conflict zones. Gkar graciously accepts this help for what it is, though he is clearly disappointed that neither Earth nor Minbar will support him militarily. Meanwhile, Sheridan attempts to prevent the tense situation between the Centauri and the Narn on the station from exploding in the wake of a murdered Centauri and a dead Narn. With some help from Londo, he is able to defuse the situation, temporarily keeping the station from becoming another battleground in the war. A short time later, Sheridan decides to make it a personal mission to find out more about the mysterious Ambassador Kosh and his race. His timing is problematic, however, when he is alerted that Dr. Everett Jacobs is on the run from Earth Force security, allegedly because he is planning to defect with high-level state secrets. Jacobs had apparently made his way to Babylon 5 and Earth government sends Derek Cranston and a detachment to help coordinate the search. While it is underway, Sheridan is contacted by an aide of General Haig's, one who explains that Jacobs is running because he has proof that President Morgan Clark faked the illness which saved his life when Earth Force One exploded. Sheridan quietly assigns Garibaldi and Dr. Franklin, the latter of whom was a student of Jacobs, to quietly find the doctor before Cranston does. While they search, Sheridan is unexpectedly contacted by Kosh, who requests a meeting. Sheridan meets him, but Kosh quickly seems to lose interest and dismisses the captain. Angry at the rebuff, Sheridan demands Kosh be more responsive and respectful. Kosh seems impressed, and agrees to teach Sheridan. He also agrees to hide Dr. Jacobs aboard his ship, after Garibaldi and Franklin have rescued him, until Cranston and his team leaves. Sheridan then helps Haig's aide smuggle both Jacobs and data crystal containing his proof against the president off the station.